Coffee is a brewed drink prepared from roasted coffee beans. The seeds of berries from certain flowering plants in the Coffea genus. From the coffee fruit, the seeds are separated to produce a stable, raw product, unroasted green coffee. The seeds are then roasted, a process which transforms them into a consumable product, roasted coffee, which is ground into fine particles that are typically steeped in hot water before being filtered out, producing a cup of coffee. Although early studies of coffee suggested that it could lead to health problems, recent research provides strong evidence that drinking coffee actually has a variety of health benefits. The overall evidence has been pretty convincing that coffee has been more healthful than harmful. In terms of health outcomes, said Frank Hu, chair of the Department of Nutrition at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, in an April 5, 2021, article in Discover, for most people, moderate coffee consumption can be incorporated into a healthy diet. Early research linked coffee to diseases ranging from heart disease and asthma. But Hu noted that many participants in those studies also smoked, which may have led researchers to think that coffee was responsible for the adverse effects that are now linked with cigarettes. He added that anything people consume a lot of tends to come under scrutiny. In the past, I think a lot of people thought, oh, coffee's so delicious, there must be something bad about coffee, he said. So I think the good news is that, for most people, coffee actually confers some health benefits. Coffee lovers around the world who reach for their favorite morning brew probably aren't thinking about its health benefits or risks. And yet this beverage has been subject to a long history of debate. In 1991, coffee was included in a list of possible carcinogens by the World Health Organization. By 2016 it was exonerated, as research found that the beverage was not associated with an increased risk of cancer. On the contrary, there was a decreased risk of certain cancers among those who drink coffee regularly once smoking. History was properly accounted for. Additional accumulating research suggests that when consumed in moderation, coffee can be considered a healthy beverage. Why then in 2018 did one U.S. state pass legislation that coffee must bear a cancer warning label? Read on to explore the complexities of coffee. Wild coffee plants, probably from Coffea, Ethiopia, were taken to southern Arabia and placed under cultivation in the 15th century. One of many legends about the discovery of coffee is that of Kaldi, an Arab goat herd who was puzzled by the strange antics of his flock. About 850 CE, Kaldi supposedly sampled the berries of the evergreen bush on which the goats were feeding and, on experiencing a sense of exhilaration, proclaimed his discovery to the world. Whatever the actual origin of coffee, its stimulating effect undoubtedly made it popular. Ironically, though Islamic authorities pronounced the drink intoxicating and therefore prohibited by the Quran, many Muslims were attracted to the beverage as a substitute for alcohol, also prohibited by the Quran. Despite the threat of severe penalties, coffee drinking spread rapidly among Arabs and their neighbors and even gave rise to a new social and cultural entity, the coffee house. Coffee was introduced into one European country after another throughout the 16th and 17th centuries. Many accounts are recorded of its prohibition or approval as a religious, political, and medical potion. By the end of the 17th century, coffee houses were flourishing across Britain, the British colonies in America, and continental Europe. Coffee grown worldwide can trace its heritage back centuries to the ancient coffee forests on the Ethiopian plateau. There, legend says the goat herder Kaldi first discovered the potential of these beloved beans. The story goes that Kaldi discovered coffee after he noticed that after eating the berries, from a certain tree. His goats became so energetic that they did not want to sleep at night. Chaldi reported his findings to the abbot of the local monastery, who made a drink with the berries and found that it kept him alert through the long hours of evening prayer. The abbot shared his discovery with the other monks at the monastery, and knowledge of the energizing berries began to spread. As word moved east and coffee reached the Arabian Peninsula, it began a journey which would bring these beans across the globe. Coffee cultivation and trade began on the Arabian Peninsula. By the 15th century, coffee was being grown in the Yemeni district of Arabia, and by the 16th century it was known in Persia, Egypt, Syria, and Turkey. Coffee was not only enjoyed in homes, but also in the many public coffee houses, called Coffea, which began to appear in cities across the Near East. The popularity of the coffee houses was unequaled, and people frequented them for all kinds of social activity. Not only did the patrons drink coffee and engage in conversation, but they also listened to music, watched performers, played chess, and kept current on the news. Coffee houses quickly became such an important center for the exchange of information that they were often referred to as schools of the wise, with thousands of pilgrims visiting the holy city of Mecca